The following KQED production was produced in high definition.
Yes, check please, people.
No.
It's all about licking your plate.
The food was just fabulous.
I should be in psychoanalysis for the amount of money I spend in restaurants.
I had a horrible experience.
I don't even think we were at the same restaurant. And everybody, I'm sure, saved room for those desserts.
You better.
Green tea wine. Hi, I'm Leslie Sirocco. Welcome to Check Please Bay Area, the show where regular Bay Area residents review and talk about their favorite restaurants. We have 3 guests, and each one recommends one of their favorite spots, and the other 2 go check them out to see what they think. This week, mystery shopper and homemaker Leslie Ottenreith shops for value when she eats. Not only does her spot score for family-friendly service, it delivers meat, and more meat, served Brazilian style straight from the grill. And lawyer Greg Corbell boasts of his place as having the freshest seafood this side of Maine. His brief includes directions to a strip mall where he's willing to defend his favorite fresh lobster rolls to any cross-examination. Lisa Gaduldig is a comedian, but she doesn't clown around when it comes to choosing an elegant place to dine. She'll stand up for the great food and surroundings at her restaurant with its sweeping staircase and designer decor anytime. It's on Post Street in San Francisco, and it's called Postrio.
Postrio was opened in 1989, April 1st, by Wolfgang Puck and David and Annie Gingras. We're 18 years old this year, and we are finally of legal age.
I've been able to express myself through food ever since I started, and I think Postrio's been a great place for me to actually frame some of these dishes, pushing the boundaries on those a little bit and giving them my own twist to keep people excited and coming back.
Postrio offers an ambiance that allows for somebody to come in a tuxedo or come in jeans and a nice shirt, to have a romantic dinner, a business dinner, or just an opportunity to stop in and have a bite to eat. If you're off to a show, if you're off to the ballet, we provide an atmosphere that accommodates that throughout the evening. Our sommelier has put together a list of over 850 selections of wines from throughout the world, whether it's something phenomenal from California or something from the old world. It's all available here. Postrio touts on its resume some of the best chefs throughout the Bay Area as well as throughout the country.
Okay, Lisa, you must be a very highly paid comedian because you've been to Postrio 10 times?
Yeah, but I never pay.
You always go on somebody else's dime.
Yeah, if someone says, oh, you got me an apartment during the .com phase, I need to give you a present. Postrio. Let me give you an extra Postrio, whatever the question is. Postrio is the answer. So that's the currency that I deal in.
The Postrio currency.
Yeah.
Why do you love this place?
It's one of these places where every single bite tastes so good you want to stand up and scream in a good way. But when I went recently, I couldn't because I was on crutches following surgery, so I couldn't get up and scream.
So you couldn't walk down that grand staircase?
No, I had to go next door to the Prescott Hotel and go into the elevator to go down, but the staircase is just beautiful, and the decor, and there's an open kitchen, and you get to see them cooking, and just every bite is just something to write home about.
I want you to scream the way that you scream at a restaurant when you hear...
I usually do the Tarzan scream.
All right, let's go to you, Greg. Did you love Postrio? Did you feel like screaming when you were in Postrio?
I didn't feel like screaming. I liked Postrio. I've been to a number of Wolfgang Puck restaurants before, and I've actually been a bit disappointed. They can seem like glorified chain restaurants, but this one I was surprised. The food was much better than I anticipated.
Right. Well, Wolfgang's the executive chef. You know,
Sure.
Jordan Grosser's the chef, so, right.
Absolutely, absolutely. But so it was. It was excellent food, bar none. On the grand scheme of things in San Francisco, where would I put it? I would give it a B+ on the very high curve that we have comparing it to a restaurant.
In that price range.
Exactly.
Because this is not an inexpensive restaurant. This is a pricey restaurant.
I agree, exactly.
Okay. Now, Leslie, what dish did you have? Give me one of the standouts for you. Appetizer.
We had the hamachi tartare appetizer. That was really good. They really fresh, good ingredients, a lot of flavor. I like that one.
What are some of your favorite dishes, appetizers or main courses?
I love the sesame crusted ahi tuna. That is just, it's one of those dishes that I just want to crawl into.
Right.
You know, there's these 2 mountains of ahi that are just seared perfectly, and with some pearl potatoes and shiitake mushrooms, and it was just perfectly done. And
but you can order off the menu too, or you can make special recommendations and special requests.
A friend of mine who I went with is a foodie, and he asked for some greens because there weren't a lot of just side orders of greens, and we ended up getting peas that were cooked in butter with mint, and it was just
peas are in season, right?
Exactly.
Beautiful.
It was just perfect. It was just a really nice, cool flavor that the mint added, and it just balanced off the other dishes.
Oh, terrific.
I think the best dish we had for an appetizer, the house-made charcuterie. It seems to be a pretty trendy thing in restaurants right now, and this was one of the better ones I've had. It was a huge, huge serving at different sausages, some roulettes, and different pâtés, served with a little crock of mustard and some toast points. And it was delicious. We would probably, for the entree, there was a pork chop. And nowadays it's tough to get good pork. The other white meat has become this dry, flavorless meat, and this one, there was something. I don't know if it was a special breed or if it was brine, but it was juicy, it was flavorful. Those were the standout dishes. Some of the things that weren't so successful, my fiance ordered the chicken breast. Sometimes, you know, it's a simple, easy dish.
Right. What about any other dishes that you normally get when you go?
We had pan-seared scallops as an appetizer, which was in a red pepper relish, and they were just soft and delicious, and again, just wanted to put the scuba equipment on and get into the bowl.
Just dive right in.
Yeah.
And what about service for you, Leslie? Was it up to the standard that you expected?
Yeah, it was definitely up to the standard of an upscale restaurant. They were really nice and really good. And one thing about the restaurant that I liked is that they did give you some complimentary food items. They give you like a mushroom soup with truffle oil at the beginning.
Little amuse-bouche to get things going?
Yeah, and then also the best thing I liked is sorbet they gave you after the appetizer.
Well, what about the room? Because it is, as you mentioned, it's this grand staircase, and it's you know, got this wonderful ambiance to the room.
I was surprised when I walked in. It would look like a small, dark place, but then, you know,
that
we
was
walked
the bar,
down.
that was
yeah,
the bar.
there was the bar. We walk in,
And the bar's quite a little scene on Thursday night.
Right.
It was very crowded. I wasn't sure what we were getting into, but I could imagine it being a really nice place to get a cocktail after work one of these days. But the room's gorgeous, and we were lucky enough to get right up next to the window. And service was perfect because it was attentive without being pretentious or intrusive. And we really, really enjoyed our waiter. I went with my father for his birthday, and that was his biggest comment, was he really liked our waiter.
Okay, here we are, Leslie. Chocolate banana mousse tort number. What? Talk to me about your favorite dessert.
Yeah, banana mousse tort. This was my favorite part of the meal. It was not too sweet. It was just perfect with, you know, banana flavor. And then they had the peanut butter ice cream. Little tiny scoop. I could have eaten, you know, a whole big thing of it, but that peanut butter ice cream was just the best ice cream I've had. So.
I'll agree with the peanut butter ice cream. It was fantastic.
He's over here like this, in the table.
The peanut butter ice cream was one of the better ice creams I've ever had. I actually didn't care too much for the tort. It didn't have much flavor to me, and it wasn't a lack of sweetness, because I'm not normally a big sweet dessert fan.
All right, Lisa, why should folks go to Postrio and lay out some serious cash to go and enjoy it?
It's absolutely delicious. Every single bite, like I said in the beginning, is just spectacular. Go with someone who wants to take you out. Go with someone who enjoys sharing. I always like to have more than one thing on the menu, so I appreciate going with someone who wants to try other things. And it's just, the food is just very beautifully presented and very high quality, very fresh. All the seafood just tasted like it just came out of the ocean.
Well, he's a lawyer and on an expense account, Greg, so you can take her next time.
Absolutely.
That's right.
I'll just sign a retainer.
Yeah, okay. Give us your quick summary on that.
I would go again, but compared to some of the other higher end restaurants in San Francisco, I'd say it's slightly paling.
Okay. And Leslie? Dessert aside, right?
Yeah, I would go for dessert, and I would go if somebody else was paying too. If we're paying by ourselves, I don't know if we would definitely go back because it is pricey.
But if you do, you'll sit by the window. Request to sit down
sit by the window and maybe go just for dessert.
Well, if you would like to try Postrio, it's located on Post Street in San Francisco. The telephone number is 415-776-7825. It's open every day for dinner with lunch served in the bar area. Reservations are recommended, and the average tab per person without drinks is around $75. Greg's spot is adorned with fishing buoys, nets, and lobster cages, and pristinely fresh crustacean that takes you to the coast of Maine and away from the strip mall on Veterans Boulevard in Redwood City. It's his favorite place, and it's called Old Port Lobster Shack.
I was born in Boston, and I moved to Maine in 1990 and set up a seafood exporting business where I exported mainly lobster before moving out here and starting the Old Port Lobster Shack. I bring in fresh seafood 3 to 4 times a week, flown in from Boston to San Francisco, including the clams and the oysters and the lobsters. We can either cook them up for you steamed, or we bake stuff them, or we even grill them for you. We use exclusively East Coast lobster, which comes from the icy cold waters of the Atlantic Ocean, versus the West Coast lobster, which is a warm water lobster and only has a tail to it. There's no claws, no knuckles, or anything. We make our own rolls that we brought the pans out from Boston, and it's a New England style top-loading hot dog bun. In addition, we have several beers and sodas that are brewed in Maine. We like to pride ourselves on the casual dining atmosphere here. We love having families here and enjoy kids, and they can come in and they can have a blast, make a mess, and we'll clean it up, and we're ready for the next group to come in.
Okay, Greg, are you from Maine?
I am not from Maine.
Is this why you selected Old Port Lobster Shack?
I did not select it because I am from Maine.
And you don't say chowder?
I might say lobster.
Lobster?
I might say lobster.
But they actually do on the menu. They call it chowder and lobster.
Absolutely, and it's because the owner's from Maine himself. He flies in the seafood daily. It's as fresh as you're going to get on the West Coast, and it's in a non-pretentious environment. That's my favorite thing about this place. You walk in, you order up front, grab yourself a beer and a lobster roll, and you have a great meal.
Right.
For relatively inexpensive.
And you're sitting at picnic tables flown in from Maine and very casual. What did you think of it when you went, Leslie?
I like it because I love seafood, and it's a good casual place to go for good fresh seafood. And I like, it's a good place to bring kids. And so when we went, we got a chowder, so we got a big bowl to
chowder.
Chowder.
There you go.
So we all shared a big bowl of the clam chowder. I thought it was a little salty for my taste, but otherwise it was good. A lot of ingredients. And then I had lobster ravioli. That was a one dish that wasn't that great, I think, because it requires more cooking than regular just steamed seafood. It didn't really have much taste, the filling, and then the sauce was kind of plain. So I probably wouldn't order things like pasta there again. But
it's called lobster.
Yeah,
but it did simple, and that's the way to go.
But it did have pieces of lobster on top, although they were cold. I wish they were warm, but the fresh lobster on top was good. We had the beer battered salmon and chips. And
steamers.
That was really good. And the steamers. Yeah, the steamers was good. I had never actually tried those before, just had regular clams in the past. So
right.
They were really good and fresh and really big, hearty, much heartier than regular clams. So those were good. And
what did you have, Lisa?
I'm from the East Coast, and I'm really snobby about a few things, and well, a lot of things. And one of them is Maine lobster as opposed to Pacific Coast lobster, so I was really excited about it. And I planned on getting a full lobster, but then the price was a little prohibitive. It was $33, and even though I had just come from Postrio.
You were actually paying for this one as opposed to somebody else paying for you.
Exactly, I was counting my pennies. So I didn't get the whole full lobster experience. I ended up getting a lobster louis, which was a nondescript salad with lobster on top. And the lobster was fresh tasting, but I was wishing I had gone for the whole lobster experience, and ended up getting some melted butter to put to dip the lobster in. So I pretended that, you know, like,
that you had a full lobster.
Like a salad.
can I have some claws and a couple of the nutcrackers and a little bit of lobster, and then
Well,
you know,
let's
put
talk
it back
about
in.
the lobster roll, because that is sort of their specialty.
That's what they're all about. Fresh and simple. The lobster ravioli is probably, you're at a lobster shack. You're not eating ravioli.
But it has lobster, so I ordered it.
Come on, this is the place that has shack tails.
Shack, yes, exactly.
Shack tails.
So the lobster rolls are fantastic. They come two ways. One is the Old Port Lobster Shack roll, which is just a lot of lobster meat tossed in mayo, and the New England style hot dog roll, which baked locally, and they're different.
Right, and the owners, the Deutsches, couldn't find the right bread that they wanted, so they you know, sort of had a bakery do this special bread for them. That
Absolutely,
gives you the main
and
influence.
it's great. They grill it on both sides, so it's a little bit crunchy, but the bread is very soft and pillowy, and it's just overflowing with lobster. The other's the naked lobster roll.
Right.
And I don't call this a wine place, I call it a beer place, and it's something that you could imagine if you were on the East Coast, it would be outside, and you would be sitting on a pier.
And you feel like you're at a grotto in New England, and you just, you know, they should just have like a little ocean sound or smell in there just so you get the full effect. But it's very down home.
How did the 3-year-old like it? Because I, as a kid, loved shrimp cocktails as a child.
Well, I thought going with a 3-year-old and looking on the website at the menu beforehand that it would be good to get his perspective on, you know, the peanut butter and jelly. But no, this is a 3-year-old growing up in San Francisco, so he got there and wanted calamari. I couldn't even say calamari until last year, and they didn't have it on the menu, so we had to pretend that the shrimp was calamari. And he loved it, and I loved his shrimp too, because he didn't eat all of it. And it was really fresh, and it wasn't too battery like a lot of food is, but it was perfect. I thought that was the best on the menu.
And price. I mean, this is a value place, isn't it?
Yeah,
Other than the $33 lobster, but that's not bad for lobster, right?
Yeah, compared to other places in the city, a $33 lobster is nothing. Value, I mean, if you go appetizer, lobster roll, dessert, and a glass of wine or beer for two, you're probably looking at $60.
Right. But it's lobster.
Fresh
it's
seafood,
lobster.
I think it's
lobster.
a good
Fresh
value.
flown in from Maine.
Yeah,
But
from
a
Maine.
lobster sandwich
Yeah.
or a lobster salad is still $18 or so, so that's a little pricey, but when you want lobster, you have to pay for it.
All right, Greg, if people want to go experience some real Maine lobster, they need to go to the Old Lobster Shack, don't they?
They do. My advice is to go with one of the simple steamed items, the lobster, the shrimp, the crab. Salads and sandwiches and soups, the way to go. Simple and fresh, it's the best you're going to find in the Bay Area.
All right, Leslie?
If you want fresh seafood in a casual environment and not have to dress up and go somewhere fancy, I think this is a great place to go.
And would you drive all the way back down to Redwood City to nosh on some lobster?
Can I be the party pooper?
Absolutely.
I wouldn't run out and go there. I was a little underwhelmed or maybe underwowed by the experience. So I love lobster, and it was fresh, but it just didn't grab me.
You like the shrimp, though, the 3-year-old shrimp.
The 3-year-old shrimp. Bring the 3-year-old and eat off his plate. Absolutely.
If you would like to try Old Port Lobster Shack, it's on Veterans Boulevard in Redwood City. The telephone number is 650-366-2400. It's open every day for lunch and dinner. No reservations are accepted. And the average tab per person without drinks is around $25. The other Leslie loves meat and a bargain. So for her family, this churrascaria with flavorful marinades on all cuts of pork, beef, lamb, and chicken really satisfies. It's in San Bruno, and it's called Cleo's Brazilian Steakhouse.
We decided to open Cleo's Brazilian Steakhouse because we live here for 9 years and it was hard to get our Brazilian food. And we were tired to eat just pizzas and sandwich, so we want to offer real Brazilian food. At Cleo's, they can expect to eat fresh hot buffet, fresh veggies, fresh salads, and also variation of meats, grilled and carved at the table. We have wonderful homemade desserts, and the recipe is from Brazil, and one is special because it's my mother's recipe. It's chocolate mousse, and it's called brigadeiro. Here at Cleo's Brazilian Steakhouse, they also can expect live music. It's from Brazil, and it's be good to enjoy at Fridays and Saturday nights.
Leslie, you have to be really hungry to go to this place, don't you?
Yeah, we usually try to starve ourselves for half the day before we go. So we love bringing friends and family there because it's such a unique place and it's got a lot of good food. So usually every time I've gone there, we walk in and there's a guy playing guitar and singing, so it puts you in a good mood, a Brazilian type of mood, and you go in and it's all you can eat. So first you go up, there's a buffet area. They have all your like vegetables and salad stuff and things like lasagna, all these different dishes. They're really good, and they kind of have been different every time we've gone, some different things, so it's fun to try. And then you go sit down at your table and comes the meat buffet. So one at a time, they bring out the big meat from the rotisserie. You get, big thing of...
and it's on big skewers like this.
Big skewers. Like first you get like tri-tip steak, or you get chicken with bacon wrapped around it, and all kinds of meats, lamb and sausage and pork, like, as much as you can eat. And one thing we really like is pineapple with cinnamon on top. It's nice and warm and it's sweet. That's really good. And one other thing I love is fried bananas they bring to your table. I mean, I've had a lot of fried bananas, but these are so good. They're hot and fresh and just crispy on the outside, but it's not too sweet.
It's not mushy on the inside.
Yeah, they're perfect. So we usually always ask for more for dessert at the end. My kids go crazy for all the food. Like they'll try every single meat practically and be stuffed and be eating more and more pineapple and bananas too. So it's a good value too.
Greg, actually, you said this is not a place for vegetarians or cardiologists.
That's true.
Right?
That's true. 12 types of meat on a sword.
All in one meal.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, a lot of meat. It was good. The meat was well seasoned. A couple people at my table thought it was a little oversalted, but otherwise it was darn good. Mm-hmm. Salad bar is a little sketchy, to be honest. The lettuce was a little wilted, and some of the items looked like they had been sitting around for a bit, which was surprising because we were eating at about 5:45.
So you were on the early shift.
You were on the early shift. But, I mean, you come in for meat, there's a lot of meat, and it's pretty good.
If you're on the Atkins diet,
exactly. Exactly.
The thing I like about the meat is that you can ask for what cut you want. So if you don't want the outside, which is usually most flavorful, you can ask for them to cut the inside part for you, or if you want it cooked, different, less cooked or something, they'll usually cater really well to what you want.
Mm-hmm. I love the concept. I've spent a lot of time in Brazil the last 5 years, and I've been to several churrascarias there, so I love the concept. I love buffets. I love all you can eat. I'm very indecisive person, so I like to be able to eat everything as opposed to decide on one thing. But I felt like the execution there just wasn't good enough for maybe because I've tried other restaurants like this in Brazil. I found the meat to be really tough and really salty. Maybe it was just that night.
Did you get there late if you were...
No, it was about 6:30. We were one of the first ones there. The buffet, it just like Greg said, it wasn't really up to par. And the people were so friendly, and they put up with my pidgin Portuguese. So I had a great experience, but the food just didn't cut it for me. The meat was just way too salty. The dessert, I would drive down there in a second. Maracujá is the word in Portuguese for passion fruit. So passion fruit mousse served in this round wine glass, and just talk about wanting to dive in. I mean, just it's so light and fluffy and delicious.
How did you have room for dessert after all the meat?
You just know.
You just you won't have your 17th serving of tri-tip. What about service? I mean, because it really is a kind of self-serve place. I mean, you get up and you do the buffet, or they bring you the meat. But did you have a good experience?
The service was very friendly, and it was prompt. That the second the meat was gone off your plate, there was a guy with a sword full of meat to add back to your plate. So.
And you grabbed it with your tongs.
Yeah. It took a while for us to kind of figure out the whole tongue thing, but that chalks it up to more to us than it does to the service. But yeah.
And price.
This place is $19.99, so the price was right.
Yeah.
Fantastic value for meat.
Now this is also in a place, pizza. You can also get pizza there. It's in a Mr. Pizza Man spot.
Next to the Motel 6 and inside the Mr. Pizza Man. It was quite
if you have
easy
too many
to find.
caipirinhas, there's the
Yeah,
Motel 6
there you go.
right there. All right, so tell people why they need to go eat meat at Cleo's.
If you want, something different, an adventurous type of meal, and you're really hungry, this is a great place to go. And it's a casual place that you can bring everybody and all the kids. They love it. They use their tongues to get the food themselves, and it's really fun.
All right, Greg, what about you?
I don't know if I would go out of my way to go back again. I did enjoy it. I think it might be a good place to go with a large group of people.
Mm-hmm. And Lisa, you going to go for the real thing in Brazil here soon? Or?
I will go back there for the passion fruit mousse, and if they cut down on the salt, I'll be back in a second.
All right. Obrigada.
We'll see.
If you would like to go to Cleo's Brazilian Steakhouse on El Camino Real in San Bruno, you can call them at 650-615-9120. It's open every day for lunch and dinner. Reservations are suggested, and the average tab per person without drinks is around $25. I want to thank my guests on this week's show, Lisa Gadul-Digg, Greg Corbell, and Leslie Ottenreith. And to sum up their opinions, Lisa's restaurant Postrio exceeded Greg's expectations, although he found it still pricey for the experience. And Leslie enjoyed her evening, especially the dessert, although she too felt the tab was high. If she went again, she'd request a seat by the window. Then Greg introduced us to Old Port Lobster Shack. Leslie recommended it as the place to satisfy seafood cravings at the right price. And Lisa was disappointed with the lobster, although she enjoyed her 3-year-old friend shrimp. And lastly, Leslie chose Cleo's Brazilian Steakhouse. Here, Greg loved the sirloin and would recommend going with a group, while Lisa found the food mediocre, but she'd go back in a minute for that dessert. Another show is over. Don't forget to visit our website where you can find photos, recipe, and my wine notes on the wines we serve on this and every show. On our website, you can view all the shows from season 1 and 2, or you can download them to podcast. There's also a link to the KQED Wine Club. Please join. And join us next time when 3 new guests will recommend their favorite spots right here on Check Please Bay Area. I'm Leslie Sbrocco, and I hope to see you then. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
This show is available in high definition, on demand, and via podcast. For additional information on the restaurants featured, to comment, or to apply to be on the show, go to our website at kqed.org/checkplease. A KQED television production.